everybody. Oh, come on. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Murmurations. I did used to be a public school teacher, so if I do the public school teacher thing where I'm like, say good morning, I apologize in advance. We are here for something far more beautiful than my teaching previous self. We are here for Murmurations. Why are we here? Murmurations. And what is Murmurations? Murmurations is a feast. We are all hungry for what poetry and the written word can bring us. We need to eat. In the face of everything that is happening in the world right now, we need to consume beauty. We need to consume compassion and empathy and that fellow feeling that we always feel here at Murmurations. So I am going to give an honest, sincere thank you to everyone who is going to read this evening. And I'm not going to make you stand up. I am not taking you back to school that far. But if you wouldn't mind just waving. Just kidding. So we are going to have a slew of fantastic writers here for you today. We have Samar. We have Sierra. Oh yeah, let's give applause. Yes! I like that line much better. Yeah, so we have Samar. Let's do it again. Woo! We have Sierra. Woo! We have Jordan. Woo! We have Gabriella and we have Gloria. Woo! We are hungry for this too. We are hungry to give appreciation to these people who are going to share things of beauty and worth and meaning with us. Speaking of meaning and worth and all things poetic, it is an extra special Murmurations. So, we are so happy that we can welcome the Seattle civic poet, Dushi Taha, to Murmurations. You will hear it much more beautifully put here in just a moment, but we are so excited that we can thank Dushi, we can thank Common Objects for doing something really fantastic for the community here today. We are going to make concrete and physical the power of poetry in Seattle here at Common Objects, and I am so grateful to be part of this. So I'm going to pass the mic, such as it is, over to Dushi.
Hi, y'all. Sweet. Thanks for warming them up. I want to start by saying thank you, as one should. I want to thank Jen and Garfield and Samara and the whole Sal crew. I want to thank all the WITS readers tonight. And WITS more broadly, which I'll talk about in a minute. I really want to thank all the past civic poets who are in the house tonight. Jordan, Imani, Keith, Shinyi, Pai, Anastasia, Renee. If you haven't said hi to them today, you should. Claudia Castro Luna, unfortunately, didn't feel good. Was feeling sick, so she couldn't make it here. It would be like the first time all five of us are in a room together, like, ever. No, but like in a really long time. They have done so much incredible work to sort of pave the way for like what poetry means in this city. And I'm not even talking about like in our capacity as civic poet, which is like abstract and kind of arbitrary and like, you know, kind of beholden to the machinery of the city. I also really want to thank Timothy and Amy and the folks at Common Area Maintenance. You can clap for them as well. I cannot stress to you enough like how important it is and how cool it is to have a space like this. Whether you are new to the city of Seattle or you've been here your whole life, this is what it used to be like kind of all the time. In all the old places and all the places you know about now, it kind of felt like this, where if you had an idea of what your art could do, you had people who were like, hell yeah, what do you need? Do you need a space? Do you need tools? I asked for thumbtacks, and they just like magically appeared earlier today. I asked for an office for the current and all past civic poets in perpetuity, and they were like, yeah, okay. And that spirit of like collaboration, that sort of like DIY aesthetic, the sort of like commitment to process, understanding that like art making is a process, that it is also like functionally communal, that it is like a thing, a process that we all sort of participate in together, that like art objects are cool, but they are ultimately a product of like people coming together to like make that thing possible in the first place. So again, I cannot stress enough how awesome it is to work with Amy and Timothy and the whole vision that they have. If this is your first time here, please let it not be your last. There's an activity that I get to introduce to you guys at intermission, so I'm gonna reserve that. But some of you are probably wondering, like, why? Why this person and this thing at this moment? And that's a really good question. There's a logistical one, which is, again, like, it's pretty hard to get all 5 of us in a room together. Anastasia especially now lives on the East Coast. And there's just like, this happened to be the night that all of us were available. Jordan happened to be reading. I think that, that was like my first initial thought as the person who's trying to organize it. My second and probably most important thought is that, related to what I was just saying, that my sense of myself as a writer exists because of my predecessors. Not because like we were all civic poets, but also quite literally, like, I started writing through Youth Speak Seattle, which partnered with WITS often back in the day. Anastasia was a WITS writer. There is like a lot of overlap, and it's one of those things that is sort of like hard to articulate, and hard to articulate in the sort of like context of a grant report, the sort of like networked, mycelial way that like artists sort of like know each other and support one another and are like the curators for the next generation of artists. And to me, it felt really important once I realized like this was happening, this was at the same time, to recognize that like what we're doing here is, of course, recognizing all the WITS teachers who do like incredible work, just like you do a lot of labor, it's essential. But also like the next civic poet, as you guys are teaching right now, right? It comes from the readers. That like the responsibility of sort of like making poems is actually also the responsibility of like taking care of one another, and like creating these spaces that allow us to like think and create, etc. So with that in mind, I thought it was like a really sweet way to commemorate what today marks as the sort of like christening of the Civic Poet Office. It will, evolve over time. You'll notice that it is under construction, which is an apt metaphor. It will evolve over time, and we, hope to expand to include other poets laureate of the city, of the youthful ones, that other sort of community leaders who are just like, again, like literary leaders who are just like needing a place to make things. So thank you all for being here and for being a part of it. When I see you next, I will invite you into a little activity to sort of like officially commemorate the space.
Thank you so much. So, here's how our evening is going to go. We are going to hear from 2 of our poets, and then we are going to have your mysterious activity that Duji is going to lead you through. Then we will follow up with 3 more fantastic readings. So, the mystery is, who is going to come up here first? Who is going to enchant you? Who is going to give you something beautiful and meaningful and passionate to listen to? Who is going to move you? And our first reader tonight is going to be Samar. So Samar, if you want to come up here as I'm introducing you, you may, or you may sit down in the audience until I've gotten through. It is up to you. All right. So, Here is our bio for the wonderful Samar. Samar is a poet and teaching artist who has been working with WIT students for 19 years. Yes, all of the applause, yes. She spends much of her time making poems with young people in classrooms and believes poems can travel between languages, desks, and generations. Recently, she has been answering the summons of a river from her parents' homeland. Tonight, she will share a poem written in its company. Now, for those of you who have not been to Murmurations before, we do have another tradition, and that is the quirky question. Our quirky question this evening: what is your favorite letter and why? And Samar's answer to that question, because she is always generous, she has chosen to. I love S for its curves and O for its circle. One a river twisting like a serpent, the other a breath, a woe, a pilgrimage, a poem, all by itself. And so please welcome to the stage, Samar.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. All right. So my extended family is from South Lebanon, and so my parents' siblings were among the folks who were forced to evacuate in the last week. Yes, so that has been very much on my mind, so checking in with my family in Michigan and my cousins and aunts and uncles in Lebanon. So this is a brand new piece. No one has seen it. I've been working on it for the last couple of weeks. Let's see. I wrote this poem as a way of making my way to the Litani, a river that flows through Lebanon, to sit with this body of water as witness and confidant, to get a little closer, a little more spacious. I started to think about it as a spiritual meeting, not unlike the one-on-one meetings you might have with a Zen teacher during a silent retreat. The river carries many stories at once, and in its currents and coils a seven-headed serpent from ancient legend. I carry my extended family in my mind on the far south side of the river, where lives and homes tremble in the current of danger. So I'm excited to share this poem with you. It's a little bit longer, but it's all going to be under 10 minutes, and then I have a very short second piece. This poem is called "The River Pranks the World." I air draw a serpent in the classroom. Let's snake around this room. Everyone says their favorite color. Later, when seventh graders hesitate to share out, my partner teacher bends back, eyes closed, curves like Emily D's feathers, hand in the center of a table of tweens, wearing a beautiful suit. Put a poem in my hand. Paper to palm, and later, bald paper shoots toward baskets. River records the whoosh. Clear water shifts to dark green. In medieval times, the river in question was called the Lion River. If the river was a mane, it would wave its unruly mess, texture, curl, coil, unraveling. But I digress. My cousin in Michigan gossips meanly about me, and I overhear her. Last December, I crumple her words into a letter. The letter morphs into foam on the river. Her text about Geico floats backward in the current. I taste salt on my tongue. The river is ahead. Yalla. Rilla Zar's voice, a love song to the Litani, a balm to Nabatiya, a voice full of longing. Oval calendula. La 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 la. Anti-inflammatory. My long ago ancestor Zainab Fawaz is laughing at sunlight. her eyes mirrored by the river, her thoughts bending down toward something posing as a notebook. Will she move toward ink? So many hands in this stench, foam in the mouth, heartbeats travel at miracle speeds. Doors shuffling, slamming, whispers fill the air. I bring a litany to the litany, earful of shush, river under cover. My mom does not want to hear about my period, my American pain, my Arabic pain. I spill or spit. The river swirls and extends my library. Decades ago, women went to the river to laugh together without partners, an excuse to go out in groups. Now stagnant black waters, the bad present, the dumpster fire future, odor changes according to location. Chemical-like, vegetables gleam, unclean. Dokusan at the litany. Makeshift zafus, discarded paper, green hoodie. I prick my feet to get there. Red sparkles, painted toenails, blood, miniature waterfalls. One-on-one at the litany, woman to river, river to woman. The river is the teacher. What will be shown? Confessions pass between the river and the woman. A breeze at the small of my back. The river swirls, mouths, hi. The river tastes a proposed amputation. My chest, a feast of sensation. The river trills, does it mock my grief? No weddings here, only echoes, water our plants, absorb evil intentions. Do not let the soldiers try on our dresses. Silk scarves whisper on a distant clothesline. The war is not a distraction. All those years later, what did Laura mean by that? Always coaching me through wars with poem balconies. Ode to River Trickster, are you going to roll over or tumble, roll a joint? American cousins, Lebanese cousins. 3 boys in South Lebanon open a fruit drink stand after school. This is a form of resistance, they say. We will stay steadfast. The woman who visits the river herself from distant shores dips her feet in haze because fear keeps her moving. Between myself and the river is 6,400 miles. My first and only address in the Midwest, 6040. I am a writer in the Pacific Northwest, eyes splintered from screens and wars. My apartment is a mess. How can I make myself a clean enough tripwire to sense the river's reach? A smooth, long, curving branch to invite the birds to visit. The birds who don't come because the air is heavy. The air that skims past the current's skin, air which pictures silhouettes of the birds which belong there. When the occupation wants the South obliterated, the gourd swallows the distant thuds of leaflets in the language of the occupier, poisoning your alphabet as if you had gone to school together. The South inside this poem cannot be occupied. Volunteers reach the river's entrance, picking debris from the mouth. The daily flow of poison slips quietly downstream. Fish come and go. The river murmurs. Finally, I want to close with a poem dedicated to a first cousin I loved and who I grew up with in Michigan, who passed away in kind of a mysterious way about a month ago. This is dedicated to her sister, Renda, sister of the stars. My cousin Nada has left for a hot spot for the stars. Garage door, winter breath, who was there? My brothers move with the weather, carrying my cousin's casket. My mother's upset the mosque sent a substitute for imam. The lowering of phrases, a tangle of fire. Estranged cousin, how dare you? You're not there. 2 days before the phone call, a daze, donut-sized grief in the hip, a dying woman in my dream. I held her, reddened skin, late autumn leaf. My apartment trembles each time a neighbor shuts a door. Cousin, the call to prayer versus the sound of one hand clapping. Cousin, give me some clues in my blue linen notebook versus the back corridors of my body. A plume of smoke moves from behind her eyelids. You were a Libra. You liked choices, you liked love, you liked to dance. My cousin Nada has left for a hot spot for the stars, traveling disco lights, the shape of Saturdays in the attic where we played.
First thing I want to say is thank you. And I hear that sentiment echoed, I feel that sentiment echoed. When you spoke of holding a poem in your hand, I think it was very clear to all of us how lucky we were to be able to hold not just the poem in our hand, but in our hearts, and to let it carry it with us as we leave later tonight, and to be a part of that movement. So thank you so much. Do we all need to breathe a little bit? I need to breathe because that was beautiful and it was real, and I need to breathe. So let's just do that for a moment. I felt chills. So our next poet is going to be Gloria. Yay! And even as we are breathing at the end of that last beautiful reading, we are applauding Gloria, who is approaching the stage. And I have a bio for you. Gloria is a poet whose interest in creating worlds through words began at a young age. She believes in the power of writing things into existence and reimagining our future outside of the colonial constructs that make up our realities. Oh, yes. As she is navigating her way back to childhood loves, writing being one of them, she is exploring how to survive whole and how to keep her finger on the pulse of her intuition in a culture of severance and numbness. I hear power in that bio. So, quirky question. Gloria's favorite letter. Why? No, I mean the letter Y. I appreciate all of the pity laughs that I just received. That was the worst joke I've told in at least 3 hours. So thank you so much. All right, so Gloria's real answer is why? Because it's always so curious, and we are so curious to hear about what you have to bring to the stage, and we're going to celebrate your power. So thank you, and Gloria.
All right, we'll see if this goes how I imagined it in my head. I'm going to sing Desert Flower by Fana Hughes and Mariba. Sun is setting quietly. I can feel it. I can see. Was it all just make believe? You could grow So if that means that I should leave, well, I hope you bear the fruit of your seed. Desert flower, am I enough? Desert flower, am I too much? The setting sun doesn't just give, it takes the scenery with it, and soon it will sprout again in between the mountains, setting a new scene for the same old story that begins with a seed, spiraling as it stretches through time, but always coming back full circle. See, there's nothing new under the sun. I'll begin from the beginning, whole. A seed, an intention, a word that preceded its fruit, an opening that would bring a world into being, into possibility, a holy ground, in the way fresh soil and flesh womb can only be whole. This was the seed of Eden, the Al-Qidan that was on the breath of God when she imagined you in her image, in her big round belly. She is Eden, body, earth, water, womb, flesh, ground, garden, body, whole. Wholeness preceded all things, even exile. Like every seed, your story begins in the dark, dormant beneath the ground, without sun and sight, just seed and soil and uncertainty, all holding their breath, hoping for life instead of death. You're still at the mercy of the hands that planted you. But your tenacity to live prevails over fear, and you sprout like the sun between rocks. You grow across hills and arid, dry lands and all kinds of unlikely places, holding on to a dream, a word, a promise you heard somewhere of who you are to become. Desert flower, you came up from sandy soil, sun-scorched survivor, and you wear that on your sleeves like a badge of honor. You have yet to learn there is a life that doesn't require survival, yet asks the same tenacity of you. Wholeness came before exile, but what happens when that's all you remember? You're exiled from fertile soil of your own garden, your own body, before you ever knew this desert you call home. Desert flower, what would you do? What will you do when the sun sets and the darkness comes? Because the sun always sets and the darkness always comes. Thank you. That was Desert Flower. I wrote this next one after going to Aja Monet's beautiful show, and yeah, amazing. But yeah, just like hit home for like what poetry meant to me, and so I kind of really just wanted to write about that. Fully fleshed out poetry, what an anomaly. Some poets believe they're writing the same poem over and over again, stretching it wide, collecting it deep in pockets of time like a story with no beginning, middle, or end. The definition of God as an infinite sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. God is a story with no beginning, middle, and end. Each of our lines weaved into their words as they web our beginnings, middles, and ends, like any of it makes sense. I'm grateful that it's not all up to me, that there is such a force as poetry that takes over the body and tames this wild mind, a force that if I give into it, if I yield to its will wield me like a pen, possesses me like an ancestor, whispering incantations in my ears till I hear it on my lips and I can no longer tell who is speaking. A force that grants me depth according to my devotion, pays me back double my attention and intention. I'm realizing this gift requires humility. One that understands when all is said and done, that understanding may never be enough. Theology will not be enough, doctrines will not be enough, dogma, ideology will not save me, and knowing will not be enough, I alone cannot be enough. for the everything, everywhere that is constantly happening. And this brings me relief, that I'm not the only one that wields a pen, a wand, a strand of web of magic, that there is a force higher that requires no degree, no masters of philosophy, requires no understanding, just obedient hands. The source of mystery that broke a piece of itself, herself, himself, to call me by my name. And child, call me Genesis. I am the daughter, a child of heavens, a flow of river springing from sea in boundless direction. I am poetry. This last one is called Dendrite. This one is also like an unedited piece, so we'll see. Dendrite, this tender spot tingling with impulses, a synapsis between my cells, all my cells meeting at the same place all at once. There is no splitting here, no ends, because everything meets back at once. Full circle, like this earth, a rock with rage and fire living in her belly, like my mother, like me. Dendrite, the likeness of tree crystallized in a rock body. I am mad at you. I am mad at you for making me believe, for making me feel guilty about things I'm not responsible for making me believe that what I do is not enough. I feel it's my fault for setting this standard. You're accustomed to this level of generosity I've given of myself, which can only come at a cost of my own neglect. See, I'm used to this part. Shrinking and contorting my body to fit my environment. And I always say that to mean people. People are the environment. Every dendrite nerve endings wired with needs. And they love to map their needs over mine, drawing lines, tentacles, boundaries over bodies of water, of land, of flesh. I learned early that to adapt to people's needs is to survive. It means fitting people's needs, how they see me, how they see the world, how they need to see themselves. I've gotten really good at this custom fitting, holding my breath long after this corset is off, the heaviness never leaving my body. I've gotten so good at it that I don't even notice it anymore. What it's taking of me, out of me, how it's eating me away until I'm extinct, a skeleton, a hollow map of what used to be there. I don't want my emotions to be ruled by yours like the moon pulling the tide with her gravity. I want to be still and listen to the flow of my own body, to know and commune with others, or with what lives here. I've come so far chasing peace, and if that means letting you own what's yours, then I'm okay with it. If that means letting you down sometimes, then I'm okay with it. I can press more ground to find my footing. Thank you.
A seed, an intention. That's what I was thinking about when you were talking about being inspired to write after watching Aja Monet, and I was thinking about how I'm going to take what you gave to us tonight. It's going to be a seed. It's going to grow into an intention to create, to embrace that vulnerability, to embrace rhythm and that heavenly guidance as I move forward through the evening. So thank you so much, Gloria. Another. So before our next reading, we do have a special activity. And if Duji is ready to come up to the stage, let's give some applause. More than that, come on, one more.
as promised, this is your intermission, so obviously feel free to use it as you and your body desire. The restrooms are and whatnot. As a housekeeping note, Cam is asking if you have like books to sell. There's a registration. There's like a flyer with a QR code over there. Scan it. They have this little tiny bookstore. Jen is holding it up right now in the back. You can go back there, and they will put your books on these little shelves, and people who come visit can come buy them. You merely have to sign up. The main thing that I'm asking you to do, though, during the intermission, if you have a moment, like I said, this is the christening of the sort of Civic Poet office space. And what that means is I invite you all to go look at it. First, you can't miss it. It's the one with all the lights on in there. It has, there's one specific activity that I'm asking everyone to do. Right on the outside, there's a little like corkboard situation with like index cards and markers. Please write like a word, a phrase, a blessing, a prayer, whatever sort of moves you, and pin it on the board. That's going to be our first little like sort of community piece as we finish up that space, and I would like that to sort of like hang above the desk for a little while before we sort of figure out what the next phase of it looks like. There are other things you can do while you're in there. One is there are two phones. One of them does not work. The green one does though, but not in the way you think it does. If you pick it up, you'll hear a poem read to you. And it is part of an art project made by Cameron Smith, who actually shares the studio, like sort of kitty corner from us. So just like a little kismet there. It is very, very cool. There is a typewriter built into the desk is the other thing. If you want to just like bang out some words or just like feel really cool, feel free to bang away. It is in fact very cool feeling. You can sit, there are multiple chairs in there. You can, pray, you can do whatever, like have a moment. There are books, a few books on the shelves. Don't take them, but you can pull them down, look at them, see who they're by. If you're like, I've got a book that I'd love to contribute to this, let me know, or just like bring it one day and leave it at the desk or in the bookshelves, and I'll come on a Tuesday and be like, sick, there are more books here. Mostly I just like really invite you to come check out the space. It's a little labor of love that we have worked on, are going to continue to work on, add to, and literally your presence being there physically I think really means a lot to adding to that space. That's it. Enjoy the 10 minutes. We're going to say 5. You know why?
Why? No. Day is a day. Day is a day. Is a day. Is a day. A beautiful bunch, a ripe banana. I think deadly.
I am giving you your 2-minute warning to come back to your seats.
Okay. Can I take my name and number just in case people
Totally.
want to sell that?
Yeah.
Because I really like that.
Yeah.
A lot.
Welcome back from that land of poetry you were just exploring during your intermission. Guess what? You're still in a land of poetry. We're coming back to the reading. Oh my goodness, I have all the bad jokes. I will share them with you. I am so sorry. What I am not sorry about is that we have 3 more poets to hear from. 3 more wonderful, yes! Woo! So, you're going to have 3 tour guides who are taking you into the land of beautiful words, and we are going to start with Gabriella. Yay! So I do have a bio for Gabriella. It gives Gabriella a little time to breathe and just situate in that land of poetry before she comes back up here. Gabriela Garcia is a poet and librettist from the Sonoran Desert. I told Gabriela I was going to mess it up. She was raised in the suburbs of Phoenix among the prickly pear, roadrunners, and stucco siding. She loves bouquets of dahlias, daylight saving time, and the color green. Excellent choice. Her life goal is to start a Venezolana folk punk band with her sisters, which I really want to hear. You can usually find her writing poems at the kitchen table, watching Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice, or walking up Stone Way until the 62 catches up to her? She thinks you should listen to the song Summer is Coming by La Vie Cipre when you go home tonight. You have homework. Please do it. There will be a pop quiz, but no one's grading it. Also, I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes during someone else's bio. Dancing is mandatory. That is also homework. However, you are feeling right now, check yourself, check your emotions. She promises it will make you feel about 15% sillier. So if you're feeling very silly, who knows? The sky is the limit. You are going to be as silly as possible and then some. She is very glad that you are here. And question. What was the quirky question? What is your favorite letter? Yes. And so we have a pop quiz for me. You know that long, skinny S thing that goes like this? I don't know what that's called, and I forgot what Gabriella said it was called. So I have failed my own pop quiz, but that is Gabriella's favorite letter, and we are calling it the fricative shh. And so with that, Gabriella, please come to the stage.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you all. Thanks for being here. This is such a treat to read with you all. We never get the chance to hear each other's work, so it's really nice to have an evening just for that. I was raised, as my bio said, in Arizona, in the Sonora Desert, a place that is just like the most gorgeous, beautiful, unreal place that exists. And I love living here, and I miss that place very much. So I write about the desert a lot. And so I thought I'd start with some desert poems. And this one is kind of a love letter to South Mountain. On most days, smog hangs around the edges of the valley, smudges the mountains with a silk scarf, and leans an arm against the dry rock with a cigarette between her toes, spying on the city. You saw that, right? She says, narrowing her eyes at every man doing nothing. A gossip, that smog is, holding the smoke in. She likes to savor it and blow it in the mouth of South Mountain. What a tease, South Mountain says to me and smirks. I shake my head and grin. We've got a good thing going, South Mountain and me. We both like stargazing from alfalfa fields, but I've only tried it twice. We both like driving a road till its end, but can't drive, neither of us. We're a walking stereotype, South Mountain adds, amused, coughing. Smog doesn't like to be ignored, and rests her hand on SM's collarbone, nudging the AQI to hazardous. She can do that, you know, with a fingertip. She likes to tease the scientists, but more often, she doesn't think of them at all. South Mountain tries to make this a teachable moment. Think of the scientists, she whispers. Smog ignores her, brushes the range's cheek, says instead, "You're a border, SM. I love that about you." South Mountain looks away, glad for once of her low porosity. I do not say a word. To Smog, she murmurs, "I would bow my head for you if I could." And this one is one I just wrote. That, I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about synonyms and freedom, and so I thought I'd write a poem called Synonyms. That's also kind of desert related, because everything I write is about the desert. Synonyms. I was a blur in the desert, waiting to be touched by light. I was light. I was a reflection in the shadow of some low-hanging Palo Verde, yellow with April. I was yellow with April. I was heat like an ocean on the asphalt. I was an inferior mirage. I was the asphalt. I was a mirage. Or was I inferior? I was free. I forget I am free. I am kind of doing a project where I'm like overlaying poems over topographical maps. And it's been really fun, and I'm having a really good time doing it. And then I will like kind of, I'm loving like burning haibums right now, so I'll burn it and then take a haiku out of it and put the haiku as like the key to the map. And so this one is called Pete's Moon Down, which is the mountain that my grandfather grew up on. So this one is a love letter to my grandfather and to the place he's from. Well, every poem, I've been saying every poem's a love letter, but I think actually that's true. Every poem is a love letter. So, Pete's Moon Down. We walked unabashedly and in the wrong language to the wide fountain where, for centuries, women gathered to wash the household's clothes, linens, details. Our recent obsession was bending the elements, all aspiring to move water with our minds. Mirit, our leader, our bending master, called out, "Push and pull," and we swished the current in little waves, yelling, "It's happening, I've done it," at the stream's smallest independence. It's here I imagine him, with his mother washing socks beside the others. Was she a gossip? Shy, scrunching underclothes in her fists? Or so at ease with the elderly, kissing their cheeks with wet hands? All I know of her is that he loved her, and then she died. He loved her, and then he died. But when she wrung out his mittens, where did that reveal it go? To the air again? Then down, down mountain, down river, frozen, melted, beneath, unrising, in the springs that feed the spout. Where does one droplet end and the other begin? Is the fountain's water, which we drank from, is my water, his water, her water? Was it the same water lapping at my palms with push and pull when I could feel that magic from my fingertips? I swear I moved that water. I swear. And then, I don't know if I have time left, but oh my goodness. I thought I'd read one more. I'm constantly walking in Seattle. It's like all I do. I'm walking and walking to the bus. I'm taking the bus and walking more, and it's just like, I love it, and it's also a lot of walking. And I listen to a lot of music while I'm doing the said walking. And Caroline Shaw, who's an incredible classical composer, has this beautiful album with the Attacca Quartet called Orange. And I wrote this song while listening to her piece, The Beech Tree. And this poem is also in response to the fabulous poet Leila Shetty's Fasting in Tunis. And she has a line that I paraphrase later on in the poem. So this one is called, It Goes On Like This for Some Time. Like sesame seeds, nail clippings, my desire, a thing you can brush away. I remember this, leaning toward the hillside at an acute angle, closer, closer, keeping secret the impossibility of zero. Leaning toward the hillside, I race every car until the muscles of my thighs say, "Oh, I'm a muscle." Until each car passes me a little more lovingly. Their exhaust, my exhaust. We share so much air, they tell me. I stop only for clouds, the shape of your bottom lip, the shape of the thin brown scar cooked into your arm. All this sparkles in the mouth, a pink sky oranging, or your fingers so lightly, so tapping at the shoulders of my skin. I've touched these things. I'll touch them again. My desire, a thing you can tuck away. In the movie of my life, I am in the audience. I am alone in the audience, watching myself sleep for a quarter, on the bus for a third. By a beach, I watch myself dream of your hands. The ocean spreads me wide open. I didn't know the ocean could do that. I reassemble my clothes for you. I take them off. In the audience, I know you are not coming. That's the nice thing about sitting with the lights off and understanding foreshadowing. Thank you.
So good. What have I done in this life to deserve all of the beauty and the joy and the silliness of this evening? It must have been good. I don't know what that could have been, but thank you. That was such a beautiful embodiment of home. Whether it's the muscles twitching or the smudge of the mountain against the mountain, I feel very situated in this moment and in my own places. So thank you. Now, we do have our next poet coming up, and our next poet is going to be Jordan.
Woo!
I do have a secret. You might get an interesting answer if you ask Jordan about French fries, but that's neither here nor there. I have a bio for you. Jordan Monty Keith, Seattle's 2019 to 2022 civic poet, is a storyteller, essayist, playwright, naturalist, and activist, lover of French fries. Featured in Forbes and on NPR, her Orion magazine essays, Desegregating Wildness and At Risk, appear in the Best American Science and Nature Writing anthology, as well as textbooks. Yes? Woo! Woo! Her Afrofuturistic plays, episodes 1 and 2 of the Uterine Files, were produced by Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute and the Shattered Glass Project in 2023. The founder of Urban Wilderness Project, she leads its RU and Endangered Species, TM, Women and Whales First, Poetry in a Climate of Change campaign. A recipient of the 2022 U.S. Water Alliance Outstanding Artist Prize and the 2018 Americans for the Arts Award, her TEDx talk, Your Body of Water, became the theme for King County's 2016 to 2018 Poetry on Buses. Buses, folks, buses. She's the recipient of awards and fellowships from Artist Trust, Poor Culture, City of Seattle, Hedgebrook, Wild Branch, Santa Fe Science Writing Workshop, Bona, and Jack Straw, and your applause, yes, applause. And also, Jordan is an answerer of our question, our quirky question, which is what? Yeah, let's hear about this letter. So, Jordan's answer to the quirky question, S. Because kiss ends with it twice. And with that moment of beauty and absolute joy, let us welcome Jordan to the stage. Yes.
That was fun. Thanks for the French fry plug. We'll see how it works. I'll report back later. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to be in this space, and I'm really thankful to have an office space in here. So I need y'all to give love to this place for making room for our civic poets to be here. It's like incredible. It's a dream. I feel like I'm dreaming. So I wanted to tell a story instead of a poem. I wanted to tell a story instead of a poem. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Part of the reason that you couldn't hear me is because all day has been a weird day, and I just felt inside of myself too quiet to do like revolution, and yeah, so I needed a little tenderness. This is called Coyote Autumn. And wave frantically if you stop hearing me. Just, gesture. Coyote Autumn. Yellowstone. It's freaking dark on that side of the room. Okay. In autumn, Yellowstone blinks her eyes, and the scene changes. The waves of heat, summer tourists that tortured the pockmarked face of road across the brows and cheeks of this side of the earth, thin out. Yellowstone throws her head back and laughs, shakes the strands of rivers boiling and cooled until the mist strolls in like a sighing man or woman. It is time to mate. And the cry of bugling elk charges the navy blue night air with its demands. This is where I was reborn, a Philly girl traveling across the continent on a Greyhound bus, carrying concrete and my father's bones in my memory and in the slowing stride of my hip. This is the place where my baby bones, still soft, were cast in the river. I was a Philly girl, floating in the grief of my father's passing and the malignant demise of a 3-year relationship. I was a new Moses, waiting to be lifted into the arms of night, falling behind the Gallatin mountain range of Montana, and the endless eyes of Wyoming stars as I ran my fingers along new thighs. The warble of air and water passing over rock wove a river's tale around me. The long red fingers of earth rising in spires cradled me and placed my tongue in a basket of brightly colored purple lupine and the red of Indian paintbrush. Florida seems like an unlikely place to remember the story of my time in Wyoming. The sunset and swelling of the water visible from my hotel window seems like an unlikely scene to stir up images of the rugged blackness of a 1-ton bison's shoulders, or the canvas of wheat-colored grass that rose and curved like a woman laying on her side. My woman at the time. Linda, her name means beautiful in Spanish. These are the visions that reach around me, stalking the peace of other sceneries with coyote footsteps and the howl of missing her landscape. In the summer of 1993, I arrived in the gravel parking lot of my seasonal employer, one of the 2 concessionaires who harvested the benefit of private amenities on public land through outcroppings of 3-star restaurants, hotels, and gift shops. Outside of the pristine beauty of Yellowstone, the nation's first national park, new employees were arriving from all parts of the country to be given name badges and polyester uniforms. I disembarked from the white school bus that had carried us from our pickup point in Livingston, Montana, through the spectacular scenery of jagged mountain peaks and wild dancing of the Gallatin River along its right side. I stood in the warmth of early July at the employee entrance in the old west town of Gardner, Montana, looking at the stone arch that marked the territorial line of my future. My intention was to be an employee for just one season, to see the majesty of beauties whose photo had been tacked to the wall, like the unfamiliar prescription posted in the dinge of the Philadelphia Unemployment Office. Healing seemed only footsteps away. I filled out the simple application form, crossed out the box for Black, and wrote in African American. I checked the box for restaurant help, the generic term that signaled to the personnel office that I was willing to do dishes, do anything except clean rooms to work there. I cannot remember meeting Linda. She was like the wind that penetrated my exterior. The man who loved her called her Little Whirlwind, Hutu Dekata, because she danced with all her heart, spinning in circles at the powwow. Little Whirlwind. I called her name in Spanish, Linda, beautiful Linda. Andrea, coyotes, the Gardner River, Montana, the Boiling River, the Grand Tetons, alligators, Florida, car crashes, all shot like ghosts from Christmas past with their particular tales that sealed our future. Still, I cannot remember meeting Linda. Perhaps it was during one of her wait shifts. I would have been in the kitchen in the back of the house at Roosevelt Lodge, where I was a dish dog. That was the name affectionately called all the dishwashers. Perhaps I met her for the first time on the path to the shower house, where employees and guests without indoor plumbing crossed paths in towels and uniforms. Perhaps Andrea had introduced us on the porch of the lodge while I sat in one of the carved rocking chairs or outside our cabin that was perched by the creek. It had begun with Andrea, who had spoken Linda's name into the umbilical cord of the phone line that stretched from the outdoor telephone among the evergreens to my voice waiting to accept another collect call. Y'all don't know nothing about that. I had to leave the city. My bill was so high. That's a sidebar. So another collect call on the carpet of my Philadelphia apartment. Andrea, with her woolly curls and green eyes and light skin, who had climbed out of the birth canal of Philadelphia to arrive in Yellowstone 6 weeks before me. We had become twins from different mothers, born in the morning of failed relationships, the call of wild places, and organizing Philadelphia's memorial for Audre Lorde. Andrea's collect calls were breath and water, traveling through the desperately tangled curl of my blue telephone cord to nourish me with tales of sawdust floors and barn dances, used cowboy boots, and roaming bison, and Linda, a new sister friend. What I do remember is the wooden beams of Roosevelt Lodge, the only rustic location in the park, which meant the small employee cabins did not have running water, toilets, or heat, except for what we generated by the wood-burning stove we stoked at night with logs that were formed from pressed particles of wood. What I do remember is the night Linda and I climbed the curve of Sagebrush Hill on the side of the employee cabins and sat in the pitch dark and cold with other employees so that we could look at the untold number of stars and talk. We sat a few steps away from the others and whispered in low voices, shivering in the cold air of the night and the excitement. I moved close to her. Chill was the perfect reason to put my thigh next to hers on the makeshift wooden bench. Suddenly, in spite of my adulthood and my work as a poet, I found myself saying, "I like you." She responded simply and warmly, "I like you too." Her words came too easily to carry the weight of my intentions, so I said to my horror, "No, I like you. What could be clearer or more embarrassing than that for anyone over the age of 12? She replied, "Oh, well, I don't like you. Oh, yeah, that's bad. Linda was a small woman, petite and strong, with thin, light brown hair, a small pockmark near the curve of her brow and hairline. She wore pink whenever she wanted to and drove a huge old pickup truck. They didn't have girls like that in Philly. I imagined picking her up in one arm, something I was fond of doing, but had not been able to do with my last lover. In my fantasies, Linda was a real Montana woman with strong, lean muscles that pushed against the seams of her dungarees, which she wore with "I can do it myself," but that "I can do it myself" attitude that often perturbed other people, pissed them off endlessly. The firmness of her voice left no room for maneuvering, but I had seen her watching me, or I imagined her looking at me through her soft hazel eyes. I sat shivering among the sage plants on the hill, holding her rejection for a moment. I was more determined than before to make her like me. That's where it is. There's more. I did get.
Can we all show Jordan how much we like her real quick? I am grinning from that ending. I loved traveling down that river. I was grasping at all the beautiful images you were giving us. And at that ending, wow. Thank you so much, Jordan. So sweet, and my cheeks are hurting, and thank you for that. So, I am sad to say we only have one more person reading tonight, but I am so happy to tell you that it is Sierra. I have a bio for Sierra as well. Sierra Nelson is a poet, essayist, and multimedia performance and installation artist. Sierra's poetry books include The Lachrymose Report and collaborative I Take Back the Sponge Cake, made with visual artist Lauren Erdrich, and selected by Ann Carson for NYU's Washington Square Review Collaboration Award. Sierra is also editor of Three Hearts, an anthology of cephalopod poetry. I'm going to pause and applaud right there. And president of Seattle Cephalopod Appreciation Society. I'm going to applaud there too. She was recently selected by For Culture as the Alki Wet Water Treatment Emergency Standby Generator Artist. Yes? Yes? She also collaborates as the Vis-a-Vis Society, and they have an installation here at Common Objects as part of this Imaginary Birds exhibition. Woo! So with much gratitude and joy and always a celebration of cephalopods, I welcome Sierra to the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Samara. Oh my gosh, thank you to all the tremendous readers tonight. And, you know, WITS is just an amazing community to be part of, and just some of the best hearts out there. And so it's beautiful to hear their words and their craft, and just knowing that they're going out and inspiring the youth that they're working with in all of these different places. And I just am honored to be part of that community, and just echoing too that common objects, how beautiful this community is too, and having the civic poets here too, and just all of these overlapping communities and hearts, and just we need that more than ever. So thank you for being here tonight and just being in community. I wanted to read just a tiny little part of a poem. Maybe this is like the poem I'm always writing. It's called How Do You Write a Poem Again? I feel like every time I try to write a poem, I'm like, wait, what do you do again? Even though I teach it too, but I'm like, every time I'm like, wait, how do you start to put words on the page? But Samara taught this beautiful lesson in our WITS meeting about the face. So I'm just going to read this little part that was inspired by that. What if every face that has ever looked you in the face leaves a trace? Look a poem in the face. This one is an oldie called The Moon. The moon has a shake in one hand and takes pills for it. The moon once dreamt a fly ball was sailing in its direction, and it actually leapt up to try to catch it. The moon frequently sends clippings that might be of interest to you, though you don't always get around to them. In fact, they often pile up unread. Your life is so busy these days. Once the moon was in a car accident and sailed straight out of the sunroof, landing on its head and falling into a coma. That was a long time ago, around the time of the dinosaurs. The moon has a sense that it might have been different before that happened, maybe funnier or less prone to bouts of sadness. The moon only sees out of one eye, but it is an excellent parallel parker. It has been so hard for me to write about the moon, and now I wonder why I held my distance. The moon enjoys postcards, especially old ones, especially of amusement parks that no longer exist, or interiors of motels from the 1960s, or Victorian postcards with sappy puns involving vegetables. You can't be beat. It's been a long time. I've recently discovered that half of what I say no one hears, says the moon. If you look closely at the moon, you can see the old scars from the tracheotomy. There is no recorded history of the moon being angry, although on rare occasions the moon's face appears alarmingly red. More often, it simply wears away at itself in silence, a reticent tidal pull. Then, once in a while, it is almost too much, a flood of stories, almost a compulsion. You get anxious. You can't stand in this field listening forever. Finally, the moon says, well, I don't want to tie up your line. So when I signed up for this date in March for Murmurations, I didn't really think about the fact that a year ago my dad passed away in March. So I'm going to read some poems for him, for Wayne Nelson, John Wayne Nelson. And then when I was a kid, I used to just say that my dad was John Wayne and just kind of leave it at that mysterious. So this is for John Wayne. A letter arrives from my father after he has died, addressed by me to me from him. Inside is a beautiful blue blank piece of paper, sky blue behind, a lowering bank of rhododendrons, blue, cool ocean depths beneath slow, billowing, cumulus blue. Everything left unsaid in unwritten ink and a wavering. My father arrives, a piece of blank sky, a beautiful, unwritten blue. Space Starling. Today, the post office ceiling is cacophonous with birdsong. They must be nesting up there, taking over all of the above. Everyone seems to be pretending it isn't happening, but also kind of ducking, hunching. The whole thing could collapse under wing. Could topple us. Sorry. Everyone seems to be pretending it isn't happening, but also kind of ducking, hunching. The whole thing could collapse under wing, could topple us with our act of non-listening. Did you know my dad died? I almost blurt to everyone, to no one. What I really say, I'll take a sheet of hummingbird forevers, please. Maybe I'll pull this sheet right over my head and go to sleep for a very long time. Maybe I'll mail myself to Canada. That will take 3 hummingbirds at least. Outside, says an unseen Cooper's hawk in a tree over my shoulder. Crows mad about it, no one else believing, and in rapture of raptor. If angels were to stamp their heavenly heels, their timbrels would land on unbelieving ears. Lately, I've just been starling into space, not enough for a postcard. I'm going to finish with one, little bit longer one. The Telling of the Bees, Sacramento Bee. I needed to cancel my dad's subscription to the Sacramento Bee. Almost all the tasks I needed to attend to, among all the tasks I needed to attend to, this one was so small, such tiny wings. I had been the one to renew his subscription, had called to change his address after the move to assisted living. They needed to update the credit card, and I gave them mine. By this time, many of my dad's interests had seemed to fall away. He wasn't writing letters anymore, or listening to music from his CD collection, only occasionally leafing through an interesting book, pulling one from the shelf, leaving it on the table. Wasn't reorganizing his massive postcard collection, not making homemade postcards for upcoming holidays, major and obscure. Wasn't looking up anything on the net. Eventually, even TV seemed to lose its charm, that easygoing chatterbox companion, gentler of many hours. Do you still want the Sacramento Bee? I checked during that initial move. Well, who's paying for it? He asked. I laughed and said, technically, I am. He laughed too and said, well, if you're paying for it, sure. And when the Bee arrived each day, he did still pore over it. Front page stories, sports, local happenings, the funnies. He wasn't clipping out articles for anyone anymore, but he would carefully turn the pages, focusing in with his one good eye. How much was he taking in, remembering? Maybe it was just the pleasure of turning those big pages, catching a headline like a poem fragment, the feeling of being part of the world. And a memory floats back now of visiting him in California when I was a young adult. And each morning the comic section from the paper would be laid out next to half a cinnamon roll at my spot at the table. No one had asked me what I wanted for breakfast, what I liked, but the cinnamon roll was pretty good, especially after you nuke it for 10 seconds, and I did enjoy the comics. How will I tell the Sacramento Bee what has happened? What words can I find? Looking for their number, I find a portal, sidestep needing a password with what I do know. Why am I making this change, the Bee asks. I must choose one. Don't like the news. Don't agree with the news. The news comes too often, a problem with how the news arrives. Yes, in a way, yes, all of them. I am, of course, crying. Then I see my way forward, medical reasons. I give my answer, and the bee is no more. But it didn't stop there. It was the day of bees, as it turned out. Walking our home from school, we found a giant bumblebee on the sidewalk. Was it just sleeping, tired out? No, definitely not living. We courteously moved the bee's body to the side, near an embankment of lavender bushes. And later my sock had a terrible hole that was bothering me. Without looking, I grabbed new socks from the drawer, a yellow pair with bees. My heart aches. Medical reasons. My friend Corinne shares they've read, after someone dies, for a while they're in the bardo, an in-between place with many illusions. It can be a confusing time. The dead may not know they're dead. We can try to help them know, remind them. Bumblebee, I'm so sorry, you're dead. Sacramento bee, I wasn't totally honest. You're not just in the hospital again, or nursing facility, or ER waiting room. We're not just hearing worse and worse news from the medical team. Don't like the news, don't agree with the news, have a problem with how the news arrives. Our person with a science fact, did you know bees can remember people's faces? Yes, that's right, I remember now, that old folklore. Someone must tell the bees that there's been a death in the family. The bees already know, sense it. You must tell them what happened. I've been trying to tell the bees I see now, and I must continue telling them. Now wearing my ritual socks, better prepared, closing the giant pages, trying to be brave in the underhum. Thank you.
I feel like we began the evening with a breath. I think ending the evening with just another breath, coming full circle to go back to Gloria's reading. Thank you for that gift. We go back to Gloria. Every poem is a love letter. Thank you for letting us feel that love. Thank you for being vulnerable with us and giving us that space. Thank you for letting us be carried away on Jordan's River. Thank you all for being here to share with us these moments of beauty, these moments of community, to feel in our bodies what it means to share someone else's silliness, their grief, their joy. Thank you for being part of this. And may your words be a seed, an intention as you go forth after this evening. Thank you very much.
Apenas nos pusimos en los pies, comenzamos a migrar por la sabana.